Okay, welcome back to BSG Annual. We're now ready for our next run, which is going to be Super Clew Land by Jellyd0ts. Take it away.
Hey everyone, I'll be playing Super Clew Land today. This is a game that's a part of what's called the Retro Game Crunch. That's a small collection of indie games on Steam, I think 7 games. And last year at BSG Annual, I ran 3 of those. And I was gonna run this, but I didn't feel confident. A year later, I feel confident enough to do it. It's still gonna be a bit of RNG, but I'll explain as we go. If I could get a countdown, we could just get into it. Okay. Yay! So, as you can see, this immediately starts as a platformer. But I also just now popped up a minigame. Now, this minigame is actually fully RNG. Even this tutorial section. So, we already just lost some time because we didn't get... Oh wow, this is terrible RNG already. Because we're not getting any greens. And this minigame is gonna run for the majority of the intro section. And the reason for this minigame will be apparent once we finish this stack of blocks. But let me explain the minigame. I can press the arrow keys to direct any of those blocks into the right direction. And essentially I just have to stack them in the right order. And now that we have the right, we filled the bar, you can see we evolved, and this allowed us, this gave us some new features. And it also gave you a demonstration of what happens if I forget to spend all those blocks. They disappear, which means I have to eat more. So, this is going to be a fun multitasking RNG hell, but hopefully we'll get through it at a very fast pace. And there we see a beautiful, fully evolved orange creature, and we're like, I like that. We want that as well. So that's basically the lore of this game. We want that too. So we're gonna have to evolve so that we can actually chase after. I'm gonna assume it's a her, but I would like to not judge. So I'll be doing. Obviously now the game is a bit more hazardous. There's enemies everywhere, and I still have to play that minigame. And we actually got good RNG this time, meaning that we're going slightly faster than before, which was basically snail space, which is a good thing. Now, if we can get a red, that would be great. There we go. Good game. Now, essentially, I'm just gonna... what we got from our previous evolution, oops, is fin. So now we can actually swim. Ooh, that was perfect. Even though it was a panic press, but sure, it was perfect. And now we're underwater, we're eating seahorses. Sorry for anyone who likes seahorses. I think they're called fry in this game. Even the food has names in this game. And the enemies too. These are hoppers. Ooh. Luckily the save point wasn't too far. You can also see that I still have to play that minigame again. It rerolls all the blocks that fell there. So sometimes taking a death could be... Ouch. Ooh. Maybe I need to be more careful with that jump. The game can be pretty precise with its hitboxes. Oh, that's a red. I almost threw that away. Let's see. Okay, this time we made it. So you also see some seahorse up there, but we're gonna ignore that because it's much safer to go down here. Plus, it's just making progress forward. This is actually probably one of the few food items that respawns. So we're gonna stay here. We need a blue. Come on, game, you can do it. Okay, we got 2 blues. That's perfect. It's got a nice soundtrack. All 7 games in the collection are retro-inspired, very much like the NES. Let's see if we can get this. Good RNG. Blue. Perfect RNG. And this allows us to evolve. And now we have a horn, which will allow us to continue to the next section. After you beat the section, you actually don't get any food there anymore. That's a bit unfortunate, otherwise I would be able to just stay in one position. And this is also where the game gets much harder, because essentially we're now doing some actual platforming. And let's see, get the surprise butterfly there. Oh, I need one more green. One more green. And this is where it gets hard, because you got the swoopers. And this is not the route you take in world record, but it is much safer, so it is my marathon route. Let's see if we can get good RNG while we do this. I need 3 greens there. Yeah, and let's not miscount that, because if I mess up these stacks on any of them, I have to do them all over, that whole stack over again. That's why this game is pretty much full on RNGs if you mess up. I think I have enough, yes. Okay, that's all greens. Blues. We need a red. While I'm dodging everything to the side. 1 KS. And let's see. Oh, I think I removed one of them. Yeah, that's fine. Long as it's not a massive stack. Let's see. We're pretty good there. There's no greens anymore. This is, by the way, the last section to gain all this food. So hopefully just get everything first try. One red. There we go. And that will give us the final evolution, which is wings. And it also saves, by the way, on every time you evolve. Now that we have wings, we have an endurance meter, and we are finally rid of that minigame. So that's essentially the hardest part of the game, so that's good. And now it's a straightforward platformer, so a bit less multitasking. There's still some challenge to it. And essentially, even though we know where the girl went, or Mel, well, later we'll find out, but we're gonna have to find some gems, because, of course, what else would you do to get a girl that you want? That's the first one. An amethyst, I believe? I could be very wrong there, actually, don't quote me on that. And essentially now we have a whole map to traverse and find all, I'm gonna say 8 gems. And since we're now just moving forward to a bit of backtracking to the next part, I think if the host has any donations, this would be a nice time.
Okay, I would like to remind everyone that we are the Benelux Speedrunner Gathering. We organise bi-monthly gatherings in the Benelux for speedrunners. We're currently streaming our annual event live from the Hotel Asteria in Ranrij, the Netherlands. We are raising money for the Dutch Cancer Society, which is a nationwide organisation committed to fight cancer while aiming for more cures and a higher quality of life for those already battling the disease. All of your donations will go to the Dutch Cancer Society. We've currently raised €5,328 to that amazing cause, but we are looking to get €6,500 to add the bonus Riven run to the marathon. So please keep those donations coming in. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, now it's perfect, because now we're at the hardest section of the platforming ones. And I was basically abusing the host so that I could focus a bit better here, because this section is actually kind of tense. If we mess up any of these jumps here, we actually have to do that over again. Perfect. So that's basically the 2 hardest sections. I'm really glad I got that first try. From now on, it's smooth sailing. I can actually use the spacebar with both hands. So there's no issue with actually going one hand here, but for safety I will use my right hand for the jumping. Now essentially every gem is behind a small challenge. The first one was in that water section and basically just has one enemy swimming up and down. The one you just saw was a massive drop and then climbing up and backtracking towards the save point. Because even if you get a gem, if you don't save, you just lose that gem. Ooh. Oh, that was an unfortunate death. Basically, I jumped against the top block, the ceiling. which means I don't jump. Which is very much fitting for a retro style game. Oh, no, 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 no. So this is basically the hitbox, the finicky hitbox section, which hopefully I'll get within this try. Oh, uh-oh. There we go. That gives us a green gem. I think that's the emerald gem. But again, don't quote me on that. So, oh, this lands us perfectly for this block. And in the next section, it's gonna seem much scarier than it actually is. Casually, this may actually be a terrifying part, but in a speed run, this is the I can sit back and hang and just hang out and watch this drop. Good job, game. That gives us a heart. I actually don't know what kind of gem that is. In the credits, every gem is named, but I'm just too lazy to remember. So, we're just making our way to all the gems, and we're going back into a water section. That's actually more challenging than the first one, because this one is going to be filled with a certain enemy, and that's just a joy. And they're called puffers and swoopers. The one that swoops is the one that's called the swooper. There's actually also some casual strats you could do, like here you could just let go and it'll drop you. But instead we're just gonna go up or down the entire time because hovering down is a bit slower. This section is a lot like the second gem I got, but just much shorter. Basically just a platforming challenge. Oh, nice. Again, some nice music. And if we're right, we're gonna... You don't realize it, but we're actually backtracking yet again. You may be noticing on the map that we're getting close to a section we've already been to. This is where we got our horn. You can actually see our exo... Is that an exoskeleton? I'm not sure. But our remains there from when we evolved. Such a nostalgic moment. So now we're gonna head on to some of the final gems. Which, this time we're gonna have to be careful with this guy. These are called slashers, by the way. Also, the bananas have a name. The bananas are called Foster. That's not a joke, that's actually what's the game lore. Now you guys know, bananas, they're actually called Foster. And I actually have no clue what this gem's called. Orange,
On that note, may I interject with a donation?
Yeah, sure, this is actually just a walk.
Thank you very much. We have received €5 from Virus, who says, and this is in quotes, I think this is the Emerald Gem. Jellyd0ts 2019.
Thank you, Virus.
Thank you very much for your generous donation there.
Oh yeah, Virus is a very good friend of mine from the NES community. Also a great runner. So if you guys want some really good NES gameplay, he's a really good person to follow. Now, you may have thought that all these gems were to give to the girl, but nope. We're actually cashing them in. Because at first you don't give gems to girls, you cash them in for some cool swag. Oh, very mystical moment. And now we have a white horn. And that's much more powerful than the original horn we have. It basically just allows us to destroy those jaws you saw earlier. And now we're gonna backtrack to nearly the hardest challenge, but we're not gonna take that again because we don't need to. We're just gonna climb up here and make way to actually the final boss already. Oh, we almost got a really cool skip there. But unfortunate. So assuming I don't fail this section, we're pretty much set to win, except for the final boss, of course, which is going to be another RNG fiesta, as some would say. And you have a Swooper chasing me. Swoopers, unless you miss any of these bananas, that Swooper is not scary. If you do miss any of these bananas, this Swooper becomes very scary. So yeah, this is thanks to the White Horn. Otherwise, I would have been able to get in here earlier, which would be amazing, but nope. Ooh, that was pretty close. So now we're headed to the final part of the game, and I hope tech gets ready on time, even though it's not going to be in 20 seconds. But here we have our loved one and Big Eye. What's this? Uh-oh. And it's the final boss! And this boss is a mixture of Thief and a Lizard, but also a mixture of Cycles and RNG. Whether he walks forward or back is RNG. These stalagmites dropping is an RNG pattern, which sometimes lets you get his teeth in early, but we're not gonna do that because that's very YOLO. Him swiping is part of a cycle when he opens his mouth and slashes his cycle. And even though his tail attacks on a cycle, whether it's up, down, or middle, that's RNG. And that's essentially this whole fight. So hopefully RNG doesn't screw me over, which it very well could. Essentially, you could just keep moving backwards and make every attack of mine very hard. So let's hope he just keeps moving. Oh, he just goes backwards. What a lovely guy. When you get hit back from hitting one of his teeth, oh, that was close. You can actually fall onto the spike from his tail. That has happened before. Oh, and this cycle is really rough. And oh, basically what happens if I die is I have to do the whole fight over again. That's why I'm being very conservative. There we go. And now if you get ready, time. And I'm guessing that was good, but I'm just gonna wait for... Oh yeah, that looks perfect. Just gonna show these credits real quick. Here you see them flying together. And you see the cast, which starts with the food, so that you can see that I'm not lying. The worms are called Wrigley. The grasshoppers, Jiminy. Fry, Flit, and Foster the bananas. But yeah, I think I can skip. No, oh yeah, this is a new game, so we can't skip. So I guess I have to wait a bit for the in-game time. Here you have the foes, Slasher, Hopper, Puffer, Swooper, and Ripper. Who is resting in peace now. Rip. And here you've got Clew and Cleo. And, well, oh, here you actually have the collectibles. I didn't actually see the map as a collectible, but sure, it's a C rose. I'm not sure what that stands for. Here you see whether I was correct. It was an amber, not an amethyst. I was completely wrong. See? That's why you never quote me, but I was right with the emerald. There's the amethyst. Aha. And the ruby is the heart. Good to know. And here you see the 3 developers. They just made one game a month, so for 6 months. And that became this collection. One of them is very grim. And during these credits, they've been very busy, as you can see. We've already got kids. And this should show the timer. Oh, it actually skipped it. Oh, okay, never mind then. But we actually might be able to see it. Yeah, there we go. 1612 IGT. So, yeah. Well, you already saw the developers, so I don't need to shout them out. I'd like to shout myself out. I'm Jellyd0ts, with a 0. I'd like to shout out everyone in the crowd. They've been great. And since this is my last one, everyone at BSG. Thank you for having me. And with that, I'm done. Yay.
Thank you very much indeed, Jellyd0ts, for that amazing run there. That was really, really, really good indeed. I hope everybody enjoyed that. It was definitely a bit different, but very, very good. So we're now about to throw us over to some adverts. I'm about to take my leave from the hosting, so I'll be passing it on to the next host. But thank you very much again, and enjoy the rest of the marathon.